MRED student. Second year cohort student Skip Holsey is going to be presenting tonight. So we have one recent alum and one he hopes soon to be alum. We'll see how the year goes, right? I have all the confidence. I have some of the confidence. Just kidding. So we're really glad to have Skip presenting here tonight. Skip, I'm going to let you introduce yourself and introduce your project. Here's your clicker. Take her away.
I gave him talking points, but I guess he forgot. I'm the class president, so first day of class last year, we were all, had first day jitters and feeling everybody out. I showed up to class with a quarter zip on that said real estate development, and everybody said, "Where'd you get that?" They thought I bought it at the bookstore. I said, "It was in my book bag." I don't know. I guess they thought I was the natural born leader and gave me what nobody else got. Unfortunately, Chris caved to the peer pressure and gave them all quarter zips this semester, so I don't feel as special. Growing up, my mom said I was special, and after hearing the last pitch, I guess she was lying. That is a very cool project, and this is just a special place. The environment and the investment that they're making in us is truly apparent. For this man who's changed his name to Hank to come out year one and try to take down 500,000 square feet in a very architecturally significant project is incredible. So for those of you that don't know Justin, he's a Roll Tide, and that was evident on Monday when we visited Trillist. It was raining, and he gave us all umbrellas, and we hopped off the bus and popped the largest golf umbrella you've ever seen, and it was U of A. So thanks for that. That's true. But, man, just an amazing place. Happy to be a part of Auburn University and the Masters in Real Estate Development program. I think they're giving us a great platform, and couldn't be more honored to be up here. So it's exciting to be operating in development in this place in time. As everybody probably knows, there's a huge shortage in affordable housing. And when we all got together that first night to say why we were here, I let everybody know that I'm here to solve for teachers and firefighters and servers and people that are supporting our communities that can't afford to live where they're working. So the other day I was at dinner and I asked the gentleman that was waiting on us, I said, where do you live around here? And just kind of getting some research in while I was eating. He said, I drive an hour and a half to wait tables here. And I said, that's broken. It's your waiting tables. You should be able to live in the community that you're serving. So that's the genesis of why I'm here. A little bit about my background and probably what ultimately led me to want to create affordable housing. Growing up, I lived in 12 different houses in 8 states. So between being born in Chicago, a West Coast stint, and then made my way out here to God's country, lived in 8 states, and just really lacked that geographic sense of place and sense of home. So it's always been kind of paramount to me is helping people put down roots and start creating generational wealth through home ownership and being able to raise a family in the same place. When I was 15, I started framing houses. If you ask my boss, I probably wasn't that great at it, but it just continued to confirm that I wanted to be a part of housing, and enjoyed every minute of it in the hot summer in Georgia. But 10 years later, fast forward, I graduated from undergrad with an economics degree in Georgia and started selling houses. So for 10 years, I worked for a couple of different brokerages, but offered 50% commission rebates to help people get on the property ladder. So people that have good jobs good credit, and just can't come up with that traditional 20% down to start putting down roots. So we partnered with local lenders that offered at first a 5% product and then a 3% product, and then during COVID we got a 1% product. So a 1.5% rebate it covered all the down payment, and then it almost covered all the closing costs between the attorneys and the lender fees. But what happened was, and you all know this in real estate, the market went crazy. I mean, it went absolutely haywire. Prices went up 60% in just a handful of years. Interest rates almost tripled, and that play wasn't going to work anymore. So we delivered over 1,000 homes in 5 years, and I said, what got us here isn't going to get us there, so I needed to find a new way to serve. So found Auburn University, applied, said there's no way I get in. Brokerage background, trying to get into a development program, and just, Auburn, unless you ask Justin, is a great university, great institution. So got to talk to Joe Colazzo, who really kind of changed the trajectory of my life and probably many of yours, but he believed in me and believed in my vision to create something that can help people own homes, and gave me a shot. So here I am. And all that's happened since then is we've found a very scalable way to significantly impact the shortage of housing in the United States. So hopefully every slide isn't that much talking, but let's see here. So that gets us to the opportunity. So Lagom Development is the brainchild of 8 of us in the cohort, and we hope to involve everybody else in this program. But it's the first vertically integrated, sustainable, and attainable housing platform, and the engine behind it is a structural insulated panel manufacturing. So what problem are we setting out to solve? Big numbers, big market. Basically, if you add up renters that aren't even accounted for and people that would like to get on the property ladder if they could afford it, it's almost 10 million folks. But traditional builders are still building higher priced homes. Only 15% of homes being built are under $300,000. With interest rates where they are and a little bit of wage stagnation, the affordability crisis has kind of exploded. It's also too slow. Most builders are on a 120-day timeline from vertical construction. And also it's too inefficient. There's a ton of waste in stick-built housing, and it accounts for 37% of global CO2 emissions. So how do we solve it? We flip the script. We vertically integrate a sustainable, attainable housing platform. And by using SIPs, it allows us to build 25% cheaper, which helps us get that cost down overall, but still provide investor returns. It's 50% faster with panelized construction from the factory drop ship to the job site. We can dry in a house in a day. So then that just accelerates all the other inputs that go into it. We are targeting a 45-day total vertical construction timeline. And it's 75% more energy efficient. So these lower emissions equate to big homeowner savings. We're modeling for our first project in Athens almost an entire additional mortgage payment in savings per year for these first-time home buyers. So that's huge when they look at the affordability of becoming a homeowner. We talked about it earlier, but the opportunity is massive. There's different sources that give different numbers, but the Harvard State of the Housing Market report that just came out said there was 28 million households in the missing middle. Obviously, unless you can give houses away for free, you're not ever going to be able to reach those. Sub $250,000, you get about half of them, and it gets better as you get down closer to 200,000. But we approximate $3.4 trillion in a total addressable market. If we got at scale at 72,000 units, which we believe we can achieve in year 8, it's close to a $100 billion opportunity. The dynamics are shifting too in housing. Back in the 60s, in the 50s, they built 1,000, 1,200 square foot homes. We've kind of exploded that to 2,400, 2,500 square feet, but the families are changing. There's 85% of people will be child-free next year, empty nesters where they're moving on to college and careers, or folks that are pausing or delaying families because they can't afford to buy a house. So smaller families mean smaller homes. We can build smaller footprints with greater density, but a better sense of community with walking trails and community pavilions and green space for everyone to share. So to the technology point, we're not a startup. We're acquiring companies that have already shown proven results. They've got $1.6 million in trailing annual sales, $2 million in production equipment. They have 5 patents around both the process and the materials that go into the way that they build these SIP panels. And they've built over 600 homes. So we'll have day one revenue, proven demand, and an international pipeline. We've had conversations with folks from Canada to the Caribbean. What's our competitive advantage? Well, we looked at who's gone before us and the approach that they took and how we could differ. We believe that we're scalable by incorporating the horizontal and vertical construction in addition to the manufacturing. They build a cathedral around the technology and say, surely the market will come to us and use our technology, whereas we're going back to the beginning and buying the land, entitling it, and then building the homes as well. Once we have proof of concept, we believe that this is the way that the market's going, and the big builders will surely follow suit. We have 3 revenue streams. It helps us hedge our bet against market fluctuations. Obviously, at the core, it's the structural insulated panel manufacturing. It's highly profitable, about a 40% margin at the factory level. We'll get to some specifics on the factory shortly, but the real estate development play, of course, is very profitable, as all of you know, as developers or aspiring developers. And then homeowner services, so think brokerage, mortgage, title. This is an additional 3 to 4% per deal that adds straight to the bottom line and serves our end users. We've got 3 phases that we believe we're very poised to succeed at. Phase 1 is our Georgia and Florida operations. We've got a project going through entitlements in Athens, about 248 units on about 30 acres. And then we want to establish some more sales to other builders and national suppliers. Phase 2 is expand to Texas with factory number 2, and then get some more of the Southeast market share and continue adding deals to our pipeline. And then phase 3, bring on some permanent financing and scale nationally. So here's our first project. Excitingly enough, we have a second project now, but it's happening in real time, and it's not on the slide, but it basically doubles these numbers to about 600 units. But special project for us, tons of history in Athens. Be happy to go into that in more detail if you're interested, but great returns to the investors, affordable price point, and a killer proof of concept as we look to scale this opportunity out. The factory, my baby. I cut my teeth in manufactured housing, and that really stuck with me as, if you integrate modular, prefab, or manufactured component, you can really scale things out quicker. So this is a 200,000 square foot footprint. We can have 6 lines, 2 presses per line. We're modeling 23,000 homes a year. That's a 1,000 square foot footprint. It's 34 wall panels and 20 roof panels with, again, 150 great jobs created. Total comp package is $117K per employee, $65,000 base and great benefits. We're also going to build The county's giving us 62 acres to build workforce housing for our employees, so we'll help them with down payment costs associated with building the house that they're building for everybody else. But really excited about this one. We think it's going to be something for other people to replicate, and obviously for us to rinse and repeat in Texas and to our other markets. We hope to be in 20 markets by year 8, doing about 80,000 homes. Don't have to get in the weeds on the milestones, but we've got a lot of big things coming. We're actively fundraising, hoping to close by Q4. If we do so, we'll be able to acquire the $5.5 million project that's in Boca Raton. And then we're going to build out the factory and start selling the panels, finish the Athens project, and also the Wilmington one will commence as well. That one's fully entitled, and then start delivering these homes. So we hope to build an app that's consumer facing where folks can see where our developments are going in, check out the amenities, go to a street level view, pick out their lot, their floor plan, their finishes, their financing, and pick their completion date, and then move into their new home. So we're really excited about everything that's ahead of us and really focused on making key connections right now in the investor world and closing this fund out. As you can see, the projected growth is pretty meteoric. We're actually conservative in our numbers. Implementing the factory as the hub gives us about $490 million a year in top line revenue from 3 shifts. Again, at a 40% margin, so that's close to $200 million just from the factory alone. So then you see once you start rolling in development and homeowner services, the numbers get pretty video game pretty quick. So we're excited about getting to the execution point and testing these hypotheses. The founding team. So we all met at Auburn, and it's a great team. Due to some current opportunities that we're still pursuing at our employers, I'll touch on 2 of us, but I'll give you some high-level numbers for the rest of us. So cumulatively, we're over $1 billion in money deployed into the real estate development world, over 2,000 developed acres, 2,500 homes delivered. So we've worked for institutional developers in almost every vertical, and we've got all of the complementary skill sets required to execute on this plan. Also, our COO is coming from a background at Accenture with over 4 decades in manufacturing experience. He's going to take that factory and get it operating on all cylinders. For the investment details, just high level, we're raising $25 million for 25% equity at the holdco level with a $100 million post-money valuation. This is our use of funds, and we're targeting huge IRRs and a 5-year exit. I like to say I've been involved in housing for my entire life, but specifically in trying to solve for this problem for the last 10 years. And now I'm able to implement the right team with the right technology and, of course, the right timing in the market to actually make a difference. So I thank Auburn and everybody that's given me the platform and the tools and invested in us to take this shot. And, you know, we're happy to show the world what happens when Auburn shows up to solve a problem. Any questions?
Skip, click one more.
But I like that picture.
I understand. And one more. Now, are there any questions? Now, I would remind you, I probably should have said this to Hank, I'm not actually asking these questions, right? So feel free to address the crowd there. So, boxable.
Thank you. I owe somebody a beer, whoever asked that. If you haven't heard, a competitor in the space, Boxable, recently announced they're going public via SPAC to the tune of $3.5 billion. They're modular. They've delivered 500 to 600 homes, comparable to a Nova panel. But they don't control the land. They don't control the development. They don't control any of the other facets other than selling a flat packed box that you stand up on site and then you can live in. So great success story for them. Proves the concept is valid. We think we're better.
All right. So building on that, how are the homes appraised and or insured relative to stick built? So is this something that a lender makes a loan on and they can sell in the secondary market? Fannie Freddie play in this market? Talk to us about that.
So as a rule, green homes appraise 8% stronger than a traditional stick-built home. We've had conversations with several large banks as to the X's and O's of how this will actually play out, but it will be the same process as a stick-built home. Something that we've played through is when we're looking at the Athens project, there's comps right down the street that are selling for almost $100,000 more, the same size and built 50 years ago. So it's almost going to be a situation where they say, what's the rub? Why are you giving these homeowners $50,000, $60,000, $70,000, $80,000 of equity day one? And it's just simply because we can build them cheaper and we're going to deliver that value to the end user.
Talk a little bit about the panel itself. I think there's a fair chunk of folks that aren't particularly familiar with that product. And then you mentioned patents that the company has. Have they licensed those out? Are they the only people making this specific product? Talk to us about that a little bit.
Structural insulated panels are nothing new. They've been around since the 1930s. Builders like the status quo, and the adoption has been suboptimal. I think a lot of panels in the market use OSB, oriented strand board, which is susceptible to mold, mildew, pest, rot, natural disasters. What's special about ours is it's made of magnesium oxide. So all the things that are the detractors to OSB, ours really shines. It's Miami-Dade approved. A 6-inch panel up to 215 miles an hour, 4-inch up to 205. But it's not susceptible to mold, mildew, rot, pests, all of those things. And we're going to work through some third-party verifications on fire ratings. But from what we've seen, it's very hard to light. Hold a torch to it for a half an hour during a YouTube video, and it won't go. And also, there's some neat facets about it around the carbon qualities of it. It seems that if you buy the right MGO raw input, as it cures over 6 months, it will actually absorb, sequester more carbon than it takes to make the panel. So that's exciting from a climate resiliency standpoint. And we want to test some structural abilities, but currently as it stands, it's got better shear rating and load compression than a stick-built home.
All right. So, drop the materials on the ground to finished product. How much does it cost to build one?
So the panel kit for a 1,000 square foot home is about $16,000. That's with a 40% margin to us. Traditional framing package is about $40K for the same footprint, and then you've got to have skilled labor and insulation as well. Our labor on site is less skilled, which is cheaper, but all in, we're forecasting a $74 vertical construction cost, and then with the smaller footprint and vertically integrating all the pieces, it's profitable to investors, but also affordable for the end user.
So specifically, which piece are you asking for investment in? What's the capital raise? Is it the real estate deal? Is it the factory?
So it's at the holdco level, so they'll get exposure to all of the facets of the vertically integrated company. So we'll use some of it to take down the acquisition. We'll use some of it to acquire the first factory. We'll use a lot of it as a war chest to control land. We'll then bring in SPV partners at the project-specific level to get us the rest of the way on equity for that. We're talking to large banks about bringing debt on for those projects as well. But they'll get returns across the spectrum, so brokerage, mortgage, title, manufacturing, and development.
All right. So I actually don't know how to make this scroll. There are more questions that I can't see just down there, and I don't know how to make it move.
We'll be at Moe's.
Oh, there it went. Ha-ha.
They got $2 bush lights, and we'll be happy to answer any questions. And funny enough, we wanted to treat the cohort behind us to a happy hour to get to know them and let them know that we're an open branch and here to help. We weren't able to put that together. We've been working on a bunch of other things, and but yeah, we'd love to get to know everybody that's coming up behind us and let you know how special this place is and give you access to all the tools that we've discovered.
All right, I made it scroll. We got time for a couple more here. You game? You good?
Let's do it.
All right. Entitlement. How hard is it for, insert city here? I mean, I know this is going to vary a bit by location, right? But do you project that you're going to encounter some entitlement hurdles, NIMBYism for a project like this?
I don't foresee it. We've got some municipalities that are giving us free dirt at this point, and we're not even out of the gate yet. The market is so short on housing, and I think everybody's aware of it at that level, that they're very receptive to the idea. And it's an attractive product. I mean, we're from an aesthetic standpoint, we're trying to marry Serenbe and Carlton Landing on our first project. So, Charleston vibes, very walkable, pedestrian-centric. Big front porches, green space right out your front door, alley forward, so park in the back, walking trails, pedestrian bridge to a Publix shopping center, community gardens. So it's a beautiful product. We're just using technology to build it cheaper so that we can get more people on the property ladder.
Any tariff concerns in any of your supply chain?
So 3 inputs that go into the panel, 2 of which are sourced domestically, and the third, which is the MGO board, currently comes from China. The problem is we stopped mining for magnesium in the 60s, but we do have 2 people that have thrown their hat in the ring and are now producing magnesium oxide board in North Carolina and Utah. So we'll follow them very closely. Hope they can scale up. But the shorter answer is we're going to need a ton of this stuff at scale. So we're going to have to get that from several places all across the globe.
All right, one last question here. So you're talking about the lovely location in central to Alabama, Georgia, Florida, the Carolinas, then expanding into Texas, and then moving nationwide, moving nationally. Are there environmental constraints here? Is there a northernmost limit to which you can take this product? I know insulation is in its name. How insulated is an insulated panel?
For a 4-inch wall system, you're R40, and for the roof panel, it's R50.
Okay.
You're downsizing your HVAC system by 2/3 and mechanically cycling air with an energy recovery ventilator. So for you YouTube building science nerds like myself, the Matt Reisinger, build a tight envelope and just use a hairdryer to cycle the air. So it uses much less power consumption, and it's healthier for the occupants. But no, we can build these things in Antarctica, or we could build them in Paraguay, which we're going to do soon. So, yeah, it's versatile geographically for sure.
All right, excellent. Thank you.
Don't miss our journey. Subscribe now.